Okay, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic, and Young Classics. This is episode number 1543 and Doubleshot number 1437. This one discussing volumes 5 and 6 for New Guardians. First up, it is volume 5, The Godkillers. This book collects issues 28 to 34 and number 2. Now, you're probably noticing by the time I get to last year, why I discuss A number 1, because that's actually the Threshold trade. That was simply put just a backdoor pilot to the short-lived Threshold series. I probably will discuss the first and eventually, but once I finish up the last year, I'll get my final thoughts on the series, and then I'll close off there. This story arc deals with more of an after effect from Lights Out, where you can also kind of say this is also kind of some loose setup for Godhead. These issues, yes, where you have Kyle fighting a clone of his known as Oblivion. Yeah, he fights him for the first time in this story. It actually makes first appearance in the annual. Yeah, first taking some alien women for the first few issues. But there's some minor setup a little later on for the Godhead crossover. Well, the Godkillers, these people who are known as, well, the Godkillers, they basically kill gods. Yeah, and Kyle is opposing them throughout this whole storyline. Not much else here, per se, but Oblivion is not coming to the annual. And here's Oblivion. That's what he looks like. Yeah, he's basically a clone of Kyle Rayner, who first appears in this annual, but he does reappear later on. Don't worry about that. Yeah, just as the annual with a bunch of artists on here. We have Steven Savaya, Edward Salazar, Jay Dagari, and that's it for the color for the artists in here. Yep, you have Kyle at his home drawing somebody, and then you have Kara Ferris coming back to Ferris Air, or she basically is gone. Even though she was gone for 2 months, everybody chastises her basically for that. Like, just, yes, I was gone. It's like, come on, to be gone. Need to be here. We'd be here. You need to get checked by LexCorp. Whatever. And when they mention her father, it's like, that's it. First, shut up, all of you, especially you, Francis. Second, I am aware this is a business. I'm also fully aware I hire all of you, so I wouldn't have to do everything. So if you wanted to keep those jobs, you would keep this place running. And third, if you have a problem with one or two, slam the door. And then she just takes off her shoes, and then she goes flying out as, well, Kara Ferris. And it turns out the person that she thinks is Kyle Rayner, but not actually him. Nope, it's a blackish white lantern who basically is Oblivion. That's what he calls himself. He's just a clone of Kyle Rayner. Eventually, Kyle and Kara reunite, make out. And eventually, you have various other people show up with these weird design here. They think it's them, but no, it's just illusions. But of course, he fights them. And of course, well, he's sealed away, but he does come back. Don't worry about that. Kyle, of course, leaves, and of course, Kara goes looking for him. He's on an alien planet. He's here for like a couple issues. And eventually, he's rescued by Carol. When she does reunite with him, yeah, he's like, I thought you were dead again. Are you gonna slap me or something? And then she proceeds to make out with him. Like, and she's like, and he's like, that's better than slapping. I imagine it depends upon how who's doing this slapping. Kara, what happened? Someone took the Quartos. Someone kidnapped one of the Guardians. Yep, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, basically here to rescue him along with Kyle. it's a kind of a good story later on after basically a slow start to this with the Godkiller stuff. Mm-hmm. Hey, it becomes a little more interesting when you introduce the Guardians here. And then you have a little thing where it says ping, ping, ping. What's that there for? Set up Godhead. That's really the whole point of that. It's not a bad trade. I get this one roughly 9 out of 10. Now, storming the gates. Not going to discuss the first half of this trade. Why? Godhead. Discuss the last three. Here comes the end. That's what the three-parter is basically called. Now, this one basically, it deals with Return of Oblivion, and basically Kyle and Carol have to fight him for the last 3 issues of this series. And he gets killed. And that's it for this. That's it for that. Mm-hmm. Kara Ferris disappears for a little while. She disappears for quite some time after the series ends. Yeah, you think there's going to be a little more over here, but nope, that's the end. Issue 4, he's like, that's it. It felt like it was an okay conclusion to the series. Didn't feel like it was a send-off. Nope, just feel like it just stops right there. And, well, that's the series for you. So it's like, okay, so what happens after this particular set of issues? Well, Kyle pops up in the Omega Man series by Tom King. That had a weird history with it where after the first 7-issue series was canceled, and then they uncanceled it just so Tom King could finish the series. Yeah, it was weird. When he showed up in the book, I didn't know he was even freaking there. Because the artwork was so confusing, basically, of how he was drawn. Like, I didn't know this guy in the cross mask was Kyle Rayner. I had no idea that was him. I couldn't tell. I had to reread the first 2 issues to basically understand that because the dialogue clearly didn't tell me that much about it. Like, it wasn't obvious this was Kyle Rayner. Like, oh yeah, here's Kyle Rayner. As for Kara Ferris, what happened to her after this? Not much, because I think she did very little after this series ended. Mm-hmm. It's almost like this series gave her something to do, and then eventually, like, oh, she breaks up a house, hook up a Kyle, that goes absolutely nowhere. Which I think these last 3 issues take place after that brief 3-parter in the pages of Green Lantern, which also has a crossover with Green Lantern Corps, which close to each other. But the ending was good. I like the ending for the series. Of course, Kyle Rayner himself will later pop up in the pages of Hal during Green Lantern Corps, where he was a prominent character in that series. And he would also lose the ability to be the White Lantern. Yep, they lost that ability just so they could revive the Blue Lantern Corps. And he became a Green Lantern again. And he's still pretty much active this very day. As for Carol, well, after the series, like, I think, like, her next appearance, like, I think she's mentioned a few times in Hal during Green Lantern Corps. I think the next time she actually appears that I could think of, probably The Green Lantern by Grant Morrison, which came out several years after this. But yeah, Kara Ferris did very, very little once the series wrapped up. It's almost like basically that let's see if I can find out exactly what the heck she did afterwards, because okay, she did pop up at the end of Hal during Green Lantern Corps, but she really did nothing as soon as basically the Green Lantern Corps series wrapped up. That's what it seemed like to me. She did practically nothing. That's what it seemed like to me. Mm-hmm. Like, she's there for a few issues of Green Lantern Corps Season 2. She's in one issue, apparently one issue of Green Lantern, I think a flashback. Yeah, it's mostly just a cameo. But yeah, she didn't do that much at all after the series wrapped up. Yeah, her appearances were very scarce after the series wrapped up. I'm like, you're like, really? It was? Yes, seriously, it was. She popped up for like one issue of Sinestro. Yeah, one issue of Sinestro after the series wrapped up. Yeah, one issue of Sinestro, few issues of Green Lantern Season 2. Excuse me, appeared in the 80-page special for Green Lantern 80th anniversary special. Popped up for a few issues of Hal Jordan Green Lantern Corps, and that's it. So, in the period of about 6 years, she has made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 11 appearances in 6 years. Yeah, DC didn't want anything to do with this character at all, apparently. Like, no writer wanted anything with her. Not really. At least Kyle is still somewhat active. Yeah, he's still active, alright. Like, he appeared in Green Lantern, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps throughout pretty much the start and the end of the series. Though he has been active afterwards, but yeah, at least he stays active. And you might ask, okay, what was his most recent appearance, you might ask? He appeared in Infinite Frontier number 0. Appeared in the final issue of Heroes in Crisis. He's not dead. Nope, it's just DC doesn't want to really use him very much. No, they've really scaled back on using him. At least Hal's still used. Yep. But yeah. But that's Justin Jordan's run for Green Lantern Guardians. It was okay. It had some interesting ideas. I like the stuff with Relic. I thought that was really cool. The stuff between Relic and the end of the run was okay at best. It didn't feel as though it was a really interesting series. I like what Tony Bedard wrote. It was really cool. I loved Tony Bedard's stuff he did for the series. But Justin Jordan? No. Not really. Let's see what this guy's wrote besides... Well, let's see. He did the first issue of Adventure Superman Volume 2. He was also the second and last writer for Deathstroke Volume 2. First, he wrote New Guardians. He wrote Planet of the Apes / Green Lantern. He co-wrote the Sideways series. He wrote Savage Things for a few issues. Some issues of Superboy. Team 7. So the guy still gets work, except he just doesn't really do a lot per se. Yeah, some of their books are a lot better than this. I mean, I've read Planet of the Apes as a Green Lantern. That's a really cool series. It's better than this thing. They're just okay, at best. Good start, good end. Just the middle basically was kind of weak. That's just my opinion, anyways. Okay, so that's it for Cyclo Review, and that's it for Comic Corners as far as I can tell today. So, next video is going to be a review for Eden Zero, along with, well, Case of Atlantis, One Piece, Case of Atlantis, My Hero Academia, One Piece, Boruto, and Case Closed. And anybody think, okay, what about Black Clover? Is a new chapter released today? No, they decided to delay the book because it wasn't ready yet. Okay? See you next video. Bye.